Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome everybody to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the hockeythinktank.com, a website for all players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We are bringing on Blake Geoffrion and Sam Jefferies. Sam wrote a book about Blake's life. It's called Legacy on Ice, and what an unbelievable story Blake Geoffrion has had. His journey in the hockey world, and comes from hockey royalty. His great-grandfather, NHL Hall of Famer Howie Morenz. His grandfather, Boom Boom Geoffrion, played for the Montreal Canadiens as well. Blake's dad was a first-round pick in the NHL, and obviously Blake, he grew up in the Nashville area, went to Culver Academy. Then he went on to play at the national program. Then he went on to play for 4 years at the University of Wisconsin, which culminated in a Hobey Baker Award. Then he went on to go play professional hockey, played for the Nashville Predators, also played for his hometown Montreal Canadiens before a really, really serious injury cut his career unfortunately short. And just an unbelievable guy. Vex will be able to talk. Like, we've talked to so many people who've said this guy's the best. This guy's the best, and you guys will get that sense here on this podcast episode here today. But before we do get to Blake and to Sam, let's bring on the talent of the podcast, the one Jeffrey J. Hulavecchio. Vex, what's going on today?
Man, this was an unreal podcast, so I'm excited to get to this one because Jeff, as you'll hear later in the podcast, Jeff, he can tell a story, man. I've heard nothing but good things about him. We obviously have a really good mutual friend, Mike Davies, and for years I've heard nothing but good things about Blake, and really cool to have him on. You guys are going to love this episode. Unbelievable personality. I'm not as big of a book reader as my co-pilot here, Topher Scott, is. I know I should be. It is embarrassing, but Topher said the book is amazing too, so I might have to actually pick it up and read the whole thing.
Yeah, so I legit read this in one sitting, and it's awesome, man. It makes you think, it makes you feel, makes you laugh. Like, it is really, really good, and tells a lot of stories about his career, a lot of stories of adversity, a lot of stories of triumph, some history to the NHL type stuff with the family legacy in the game. And yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome. I recommend going out for anybody and getting it. And then just being able to talk to Blake here today and even tell some more stories and get some more background on some of the things that were in the book. Like, there's some legit incredible stories that we talked about on this podcast. Yeah. Like, stuff that you're going to be like, wow.
I mean,
no.
Was it the podcast or the 10 questions that he's like, I've only told one other person this?
That was actually on the 10 questions.
So that's only on the Facebook community. Am I right?
That's true.
Oh, yeah. Baby.
So for everybody, so I guess we can get into that too. Like, I can't believe this Facebook community and this Hockey Think Tank community that we've created. And it just opened up this week. And like, before we even started, we had over 115 people who joined the community before it even turned on. And it was awesome. And now that we've been doing it for a little bit of time, like, it's so much fun. Just the engagement of everybody in the community and people helping people and getting perspective and giving perspective and sharing experiences, whether you're a coach or whether you're a parent. And there's actually some parents on there that have it, that are sharing all their things that are going on with their kids too, that are players. And it's been really, really, really cool. And so one of the things that all of our community members get is, for each of our podcast episodes, whoever we interview, we do a 10 questions with them at the end. And that only airs in the community. And like, honestly, like, this one that we just did is probably worth the price of admission, because he tells some amazing stories and has some awesome insight. Like, just for example, like, you know, a couple of the questions, like, define mental toughness. And in his career, you guys will hear his career, like, mental toughness is something that was very instrumental, to who he was. Like, what's the life lesson that you learned in hockey that you're taking with you in your life outside of? He's a very, very successful person in the business world right now, and things like that. And so, what's one piece of advice you would give to a youth hockey player? One piece of advice you would give to a youth hockey parent? So, like, these are things that are only on the community. So again, we encourage everybody. Like, this has been awesome. It's been so much fun getting to meet all the people that have joined. And Vex, I don't know what you think, but it's been way beyond what my expectations were for it. I can't even put it into words.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome, but I expected it. Just did. I think that I know I've seen it in person for 5 years, how strong our listenership is. And everywhere when I was coaching, every city that I went to, somebody would stop me and talk to me about the think tank and say that they've listened to all the episodes and this was their favorite episode. And I'd ask them, like, well, what do you want us to bring on? Who do you want us to bring on? What do you want us to talk about? And I just knew that obviously like we got something here and we're helping a lot of people. So honestly, I did expect this, and I know that it's going to get bigger because I know that it's going to help more and more people the longer that we do this community as well as a podcast. And I also think that it's going to transcend hockey and spill into other sports, because I've talked to so many parents who listen to our podcast that have athletes in different sports, and they just replace the word hockey with soccer or baseball or softball or volleyball. And I think that it can help a lot of people. So I'm so excited about it, but I also expected it.
I like your positivity.
Yeah,
I like
baby.
your positivity. That was a big theme in this podcast episode with Blake and with Sam. And man, just like, it's one of those episodes where you come out of it just like feeling like a better human. You know what I mean?
Yes. Especially at the end of the 10 questions, man. He was pulling at my heartstrings there.
Oh man, it was insane. Absolutely insane. But again, like I said it before, but like obviously Vex and I, we do our quote unquote research of people that we're bringing on. And by research, I mean, we'll reach out to people that were teammates of theirs or have crossed paths with them at some point. And everybody that I talked to, and Vex, I know you said this too, like was like, dude, he was the best. This guy's the best. He just gets it. He's like the best. And also he's an unbelievable storyteller, which was really awesome too. So this was a really, really good one. And again, like we want to have impact, man. Like with these podcasts, like the biggest thing that we want for our listeners is to have an impact on you and help you to learn something that can help in your own life, help you to feel the feels at times, be a little bit inspired. Again, education, inspiration, like that's what we're all about here. And this one had that with spades. So let's get over to Blake. Before we do get over to Blake, we do have some people to thank here. First, want to thank Gel Sticks, our title sponsor. Go to GELSTX.com. And if you use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, you will get a discount on some awesome weighted training sticks. Jeffrey?
I want to thank Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the unbelievable app that allows me to train so many athletes around the world. So many teams, so many organizations. My 2024 off season will be coming out in a few months here. If your team wants to work with me throughout the off season, getting them quality training where they can all do it on their own at their own time or meet up and do it together, but everything will be tracked individually on their own phone, on their own app, reach out to me because I give heavy discounts when an entire team or entire organization signs up for the off season. So thank you to Train Heroic. Also want to thank Cured Nutrition. Cured Nutrition is a CBD company I'm with. I use it every single day, twice a day. I talk about on every single episode. They just have quality products. And, Blake talked about in the 10 questions a little bit there about painkillers. And, I'm as much as I can try to stick with things that are natural from the earth, plant medicine, things like that versus, pharmacology as much as possible. And so that's where something like CBD with Cured Nutrition comes in. So if anybody has any questions about CBD, how to use it, why to use it, what can it help with, please just reach out to me, DM me on Instagram at Jeff Lavecchio, or go to curednutrition.com and use my discount code GMBM.
Boom, there you go. And thank you to Helios Hockey, an unbelievable product and service for any hockey player out there. And what it is, it's a sensor that goes into your shoulder pad that gives you instant data, instant feedback on your play solely, or not solely, but most importantly, your stride and your stride mechanics, gives you real-time feedback on that. You also get a hustle score, which for kids, like that's one thing in the feedback that we've been getting from our listeners that have bought Helios. They love the hustle score. They absolutely love the hustle score. It's something that's really, really cool. But also game changer, you're getting your shifts cut up for you instantly after the game. So whether you are filming through a phone, an iPad, or whether you're getting your video through Live Barn, instantly right after the game, you get your shifts cut up. Complete time saver. And I know for me, if I was younger and I had this, I would have loved to watch my shifts like that. Would have been awesome instead of pressing that rewind fast forward button all the time back in the day where kids are like, VHS? What's VHS? I don't even know what VHS is.
Hey, and you know what's really cool is this week I've had 2 people text me saying that they've been listening to our podcast more, and they both bought Helios and are loving it. So pretty cool to hear that.
Awesome, for sure. And so go to helioshockey.com and use the coupon code ThinkTank there, and you'll get an awesome discount. So all new Helios members will get 20% off their initial 12-month membership, and that sensor that you have that you put in the shoulder pad, they go and give that to you for free. So just awesome product. Go to helioshockey.com, use that coupon code ThinkTank, and thank you to Ice Hockey Systems, the best website out there for your coaching education and parent education. And I was actually doing a call today. So all of the coaches that I do my organizational blueprint with, we do a weekly call. Today we did it on transition hockey, and I got to draw up 4 or 5 drills that I do on transition. And I use Ice Hockey Systems to do that. And it's just so easy to use. It's just an awesome product, especially for people who aren't tech savvy like yourself and myself. And a lot of youth hockey coaches out there, I'm sure. It's just unreal, man. So go to icehockeysystems.com. We have partnered with them to do an association platform where you can get this for all the coaches and all the parents in your organization, because they have access to the Hockey Think Tank Parent Survival Guide. So go to icehockeysystems.com, look up that association's platform and get that today. And thank you to all of our listeners. We absolutely love you guys. We continue to hope to have all this impact on a positive way. This is going to be an episode that honestly, you're probably going to want to listen to a couple of times. Inspiring, great stories, life lessons. You're going to laugh. This was a really, really cool one. And we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. Every like, every comment, every download, every rating, every follow, every time you share us with your parent groups, your coaches groups, your organization, or on social media, whatever it may be. We just really, really appreciate that. So now, without further ado, here we go with Sam Jefferies and Blake Geoffrion. Looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58? DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Available lines and odds from the DraftKings Sportsbook app will be available for Super Bowl 58. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58, with code THPN. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast. We got one in Chicago and one in Seattle. We got Blake Geoffrion and Sam Jefferies. What's going on, fellas? How are we doing tonight?
How's it going, boys? Good to be here.
No, we're pumped, man. We're pumped to have you guys. And the book is Legacy on Ice that Sam wrote about Blake's career and his family heritage and history. And I got the chance to read it. I put it down in one setting. Like literally sat down. I had a flight to Phoenix and the flight got delayed for 5 hours. So I had like 8 hours actually. And I had the whole thing. So it was an awesome book. And Blake, your story and your family story is incredible. But I want to start with you, Sam, because you wrote the book. And like, what was it that enthralled you about Blake and his family's story that you're like, hey, like this is something that I wanted to write a book on this? Is it something you guys knew each other? Like, what was the impetus of writing this book, and how did it get started?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was at Madison the same time as Blake. We didn't know each other, but followed the hockey program very closely, and I had a couple uncles play for Badger Bob Johnson back in the day, and so family connection to that program. And then saw him win the Hobey, and for me, it was so remarkable that he was the first Hobey winner in the program's history. Right? You had Brian Elliott, you had Chris Chelios, and Joe Pavelski, and Danny Heatley, and this, unbelievable program. 6 national championships, and he was the only one to be best player in college hockey, and so that always fascinated me. And I knew about his family history with Montreal, but I think following his pro career, watching him go home to Nashville and then go ancestral home to Montreal, and then have it all taken away, I thought it was a true American story. Really true. Kind of triumph to tragedy, and I didn't know the half of it, and then starting to look into it, and I knocked Blake's door for a little while, and then he very generously started to answer my calls. But having conversations and figuring out, the kind of Forrest Gump nature of hockey that he had played, and being at the NTDP and being at Culver and at Wisconsin and at Nashville, and going to each of those pieces and figuring out, this guy is the Tetris piece for so much of North American hockey, that it for me, was a story that deserved to be told.
For sure. And it was a great story, and so many lessons to come out of the story, Blake. And when we bring people on, particularly that have played at the levels that you had, one of the things we always like to ask people is how you fell in love with the game. And obviously you got a huge family history within the game, but if you can, just talk to our listeners a little bit about what made you fall in love with this great sport, and what kick-started you into really being a huge part of it.
Yeah, no, totally. Look, first of all, guys, thanks for having us on. Really appreciate it. And, it's always good to talk to guys that love the game as much as you do. And I think you guys do a great job. So that's first and foremost. But to answer your question, look, I can just remember since I was a little kid, my dad, like when I was 2 years old, I was taking, skating lessons from a figure skater, pushing a chair around. And then, by the time I was 3, I was playing full on hockey. And my dad, we rented our gear. We're living in Nashville, Tennessee. And, my dad was like trying to really discourage us from playing hockey and put bulky gear on us, and like, you guys really want to do this and whatnot. And like, I remember like that hockey smell. I remember like the crisp, like air, like in the mornings at 6 a.m. when you hit the ice. I remember like, just skating around and like bumping into like guys, and just like at a really young age. I remember those thoughts and feelings. And I think we all know what I'm talking about when you talk about the smells of hockey.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember like
pony.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I just remember like I just remember like all those little things and just loving it. And then as I got older and older, just the camaraderie, in the room with the guys and competing, and, look, there's no better feeling in this world than scoring a goal. I don't care what level it is, whether you're a termite or you're in the NHL, it's still the greatest feeling of all time. And so I think, you put all that together, and just my personality of who I am, and I'm a competitor like through and through, and I hate to lose. You wrap all that together, and I think hockey is a great sport to encapsulate all that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, on your journey, one of the really cool things that I noticed as almost like a pattern in the book, and like we have a lot of youth hockey players that listen to this podcast on the way to practice, on the way to the rink. And I think part of your story that was so compelling is that every stop that you went, it wasn't easy right away.
No.
There was some adversity along the way. Like, you living in Nashville, and then you go to Culver prep school, first time away from home. And then boom, you hit some adversity. It's really tough, but you fight through it. Then you go to the national program, boom, it's tough, and you got to fight through it. Then you get to Wisconsin, boom. It's like all these different stops along the way. Like, it wasn't you stepping in and you're a first liner and everything is, hunky dory. Like there was some trials and tribulations, and probably a lot of hard moments throughout those times. So like, as you guys know, but I think it's really important for all the kids that are listening to hear, like, if you have a dream and a goal that's really lofty, like, it's going to take a lot of resiliency, and there's going to be tough times and adversity. And so, like, if you can just talk a little bit about how important that was to your growth, not only as a player, but as a person, having to endure some of those tough times and really kind of like persevering through it, and how much stronger you came out on the other side.
Totally, man. I mean, if you look at my story and really anyone's career, the ups and downs, like, I mean, I think that's why we all love these behind the scenes documentaries of Conor McGregor and all these superstar Tiger Woods and all these superstar athletes. Even the 1%ers, the 1% of the 1%ers face these trials and tribulations, as you alluded to. Like, and I would say throughout my career, I had the exact same. You made a great point. Like, my whole kind of career growing up in Nashville, I was the most dominant player through and through. Like, no one could really touch me. I mean, I was a big kid, like physically, and then I was pretty talented dude. Go to Culver, struggled mightily. I'm 14 years old, turning 15, being away from home. My mom cooks every meal, does all my laundry for me, to military school where I got a tunnel rat from Vietnam, like, yelling at me every morning at 6 a.m. Like, that's a little bit of a wake up call. I was the first freshman to ever make varsity in 40 something years. So I was 14 turning 15, and the youngest guy on my team was 17 years old. We had postgrads. Like, that's a huge, like, that right there alone, just from the words that I learned, look, I was never wasn't the strongest student of all time. The ratio of students to teachers were, 2-to-1. So, like, looking over to my left and over to my right wasn't going to happen in school. It was a college preparatory school, like, where the academics were like above everything else. So it was a tough, very, very tough challenge. To your point, I go to the National Development Program. Like, I was the first guy to commit the 88 birth year because of my last name and getting put on the national level from a media perspective. Oh, the next Sidney Crosby. It's like, okay, going with a big head. And, I go from first line down to the fourth line to out of the lineup. And my greatest statistic of all time was I was literally the last guy on the team in scoring behind both goalies. They each had 3 assists. I had 1 goal, 1 assist. So, like, that's it. Try to do that. It's very difficult, let me tell you. Right. And then, look, go to win the gold medal, get drafted, go to Wisconsin, struggle mightily, go win the gold medal at U18s. I'm on top of the world, get drafted in the second round, first pick. So I got first round treatment from my hometown team, the Nashville Predators. I go home, I see all my old buddies and friends and, whatnot. And then go to Wisconsin and 2 goals, 4 assists, 36 games freshman year. I mean, terrible, all the way to my senior year, Hobey Baker, to, turning pro, scoring 2 goals in my first 3 games pro, break my ankle, see you later. I could go, I mean, look, I'm telling my whole story in about 12 minutes. So, but then, ultimately,
they can still get a book.
Yeah. It's all the way to the point where, I scored 6 goals in 9 games, 12 points for the National Predators. We make the playoffs. Barry Trotz calls me in the room and says, "Hey, I'm going with the veterans. Like, you've played great, but, like, you're a rookie." What? To, and I can go on for days, to the NHL, to, get traded to my, where it all began for me and my family and everyone else, to a career-ending injury, to a year in the dark, literally and figuratively. And then, I bounced back and, I'm back to crushing life out of hockey and doing really well. And, 2 young girls and, so life's never been better, honestly, man. So a lot of ups and downs. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the only one. I think everyone goes through this, whether you play hockey or a sport or not. But I think what sports teaches you and why hockey is so important, in my opinion, is I'll go back to what I said earlier, which is the camaraderie in the room. It's your second family. It really becomes your first family, frankly. And all the boys help you through, the ups and downs. And, everyone talks about mental health and all that. Like, think about it. Like, all of us played. Like, you having a bad day, you go to the rink, and that's where you're happy again. It's where the guys pick you up. It's where you find your pride, love, and joy. And I think that's really important to have a second family outside of your mom and dad and your brothers and sisters. So,
well, I think
a little bit ramble, but you guys get it.
I think you said something super important there too, is like, you had a lot of ups and downs, and after everything we just heard about your career in a nutshell there, you said, but I'm in such a great place. I'm crushing life. I'm the happiest I've ever been. And, like, for me, I retired in 17, 18. That was my last season. And like anytime stuff gets hard in my life now, like I always think back to hockey, the hard times, and they always seemed a lot harder in hockey because it was like my everything from like 3 years old until 32. And you put that self pressure on, and like the end of the, you had a bad practice and coach looked at you weird and it's the end of the world. But like you get through all these hard times in hockey, you get through the injuries, you get through the losing seasons, the seasons where you thought you were going to do well and the goalies outscore you and all that type of stuff. The rest of life has been, I'm sure, like way easier for me. Because I just look back and I'm like, I've been through all these hard things from 3 years old to 32 years old in the game of hockey. And there was the thing I cared most about. And that allows me to this like perspective. Whenever something in the business world or anything like goes wrong, I'm like, yeah, what would I have done in hockey? How would I have taken this in hockey? And that's really helped me. So I love that you said like how important like sports are. Like I couldn't believe in that anymore. That's why Toph and I do this podcast.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. And I think what for me, and I think you would agree probably, is like, look at, man, you can, like, there's two things that I always tell everyone: control what you can control and just put your head down and work hard, and everything's going to be totally fine. And like, you might not see what it is in the near future, but just keep at it, keep working hard, control what you can, be a good human, treat people with respect, and like everything's going to be fine. And like, I tell everyone, like, I won the Hobey Baker as a 4th leading scorer in the country, or 10th leading scorer in the country. Like, you know, I went from 2 goals my freshman year to 28 my senior year and won the Hobey Baker. Like, if I can do that, like, literally anything in this world can happen. And like, I can tell you story after story of like things that I look back on, I'm like, I cannot believe that actually happened. Like, I never would have fathomed like that happening. Like, if someone would have told me like, you're gonna win the Hobey Baker, like freshman year, I'd be like, yeah, okay. And like, yeah, and I have 8 heads too.
How do you go to, what was your progression in college there? Freshman year, 2. What was sophomore, junior?
15, 10, and just goals. But I had more points. I had 15 and 10, or 15 and, so I went 2-4 for 6 and 36. Sophomore year was like, I had 15 and 10, I think, or 15 and 20, something like that. And then it like flipped. It was like 10 and 25 or something like that. And then 28 and 50.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things you talk about, Blake, that I think is such a relevant topic to talk about, particularly with the kids coming up, is the controlling what you can control. Oh. And man, is that hard, especially for kids coming up with all these different things coming their way. You know, youth hockey's become so professionalized at such a young age, and, you know, there's so many different options. There's so much information. Like it's hard at times to control what you can control. But, you know, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, particularly that I think could help a lot of these kids that are coming up right now, is controlling what you can control when you got a tough coach. And when I say tough coach, I don't mean bad coach. I mean demanding coach. And you played for a couple guys, and John Hines and Mike Eves, that are known to be pretty freaking demanding. And it's a big part of the reason why they've been, you know, so successful at a lot of different stops. And I thought it was just really interesting, the relationship that you had with both of those, particularly with Mike Eves, though, towards the end of your career when you were at Wisconsin, and some of the stories that are in the book with that. But if you can, like, just start with Coach Hines at the national program, because being a head coach at the NTDP is hard. You got all these kids who are alpha males who've been the best everywhere they've been. And you got to try to corral all these huge, and when I say egos, I don't mean that in a bad way, but you got to control a lot of these egos and help everybody to try and like form a team environment and stuff like that. And he was hard on you guys, and they made it really hard. And they did that for a specific reason. So if you can, just talk a little bit about your experience there at the NTDP and how it kind of helped you build, you know, the skills mentally, physically to be able to handle the rigors of what was coming, you know, after you were done there in college and then pro and things like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, the NTDP was really what propelled me into really becoming a pro hockey player, you know, at a very young age, and understanding, you know, details of the game. Like, look, we were all individually really talented players. You know, we had Patrick Kane, we had Eric Johnson, we had, you know, a lot of the
Joe Palmer.
What's that?
Joe Palmer.
Yeah, Palm Daddy. We actually, had all these, so you have all these egos and all these kids coming that are very individually, talented. They're all used to being the guy. And, really what it is they now teach you like, hey, you're now, okay, you guys are all the 1%ers. Great. Now let's figure out where you guys all actually should play and how you're going to fall into place as you go older. Like I'll give you an example. My own personal opinion or my own personal experience was I was a goal scorer. Like growing up at Culver, I was a goal scorer. Like I would put the puck in the net. It's what I wanted to do. That's who I was. I was a talented offensive player. I could toe drag at the blue line and I could also run you through the boards. I could, either or kind of thing. Right. But when I got to that level, everyone could do that. Every single guy. And guys were better at toe dragging than me. Guys were, but I was better at faceoffs. And so, so like you kind of all fit into your little roles. Like I'll give you an example. I went from first line center down to fourth line. And at Christmas time, John Hines pulls me into the office and is like, yo, leave your gear here. You're not a goal scorer anymore. You're now a defensive forward. I'm flipping your entire world upside down. I'm like, what? I was like, I score, dude. That's like what I do. And he's like, no. He's like, here's what's going to happen. Lethbridge, Alberta. I'm going to meet you there. I'm going to bring your gear. We're going to play the U17 challenge. There's a guy by the name of Jonathan Taze who plays for Canada. I want you to shut his line down. He plays with Claude Giroux and Ryan White. He's like, Czech Republic, Yuri Talusti, and somebody else. Like, I want you to shut him down. He goes, I want you to block every shot. This is before like blocking shots was really a thing. So like, I look like an absolute buffoon, like playing goalie at the blue line, right? And he's like, but this is what I want you to do. And like, he's like, you're great at faceoffs. You're gritty. You're hard to play against. He's like, I need you to back check hard. And I'm like, back check? Like, dude, that's why we got defensemen and a goalie. I don't back check. Like, what are you talking about? Right. And he like turned me into this. He's like, I want you to start there. From good defense comes good offense. I had no idea what that meant as a kid. I'm like, what? I called my dad. I'm like, Dad, what does this mean? He's like, I have no idea. My dad didn't back check ever, right? He's like a French Canadian, like right wing scorer. Like, he's like, why do we back check? We got goalie and D-men, like put that there, So like that was like how he molded me as a player, and like I shut down Taser. I shut down all those guys. I finished second in that tournament scoring that year at a point a game at 5 points. And like, I finally got it, like play good defense, create turnovers, get back up the ice and create opportunities. Right. And be gritty and whatnot. And that's what the NTDP does is they teach you all the little tedious, intimate details of the game and how to be successful as a hockey player as the full meaning, not just look, there's the Patrick Kanes who can just, at every level, they're so talented on an offensive basis that like they can play that game. Like once I got to that level, I wasn't an offensive player scorer anymore. I had to work for everything and create space and use my stick and go stick on puck and block shots and do all these tedious, intimate details to round me out as a player and where I was going to fall into. And that's really what the NTDP does for you. And they teach you how to work out the right way. They teach you about nutrition. They teach you why it's important not to eat Fruity Pebbles for breakfast. They teach you how all those that was what I rocked, by the way. Great love Fruity Pebbles.
Oh yeah.
And like, so they teach you all of those things on how to be a true player. And like, if you want to make this, you're going to do this over and over and over every single day. And if you don't bring it, I'm going to be in your face and I'm going to demand that you bring it. And if you don't, you're not coming back next year. And like, we're here to win gold medals, not individual medals. And we're going to teach you how to work and we're going to develop a work ethic for you. We're going to teach you how to win and how to become an NHL player. That's what it was about there. And so John Hines held you accountable. If Hines came in and he saw you were dragging ass one day, he was the first one over. He's like, you tired today? I don't care. Let's get at it. And if you weren't, bag skate, hit the line, let's go. I mean, it was like Herb Brooks, like S type thing. I'll never forget the story. I'll probably get in trouble telling this one, but I saw he had Mike Ratchek on. Just put a quarter in him, pull his arm. He'll start talking for days.
Oh, yeah.
and like we came back one night. I'll never forget this. We came back one night from playing the Toledo Ice Diggers. We got absolutely smoked 2 games in a row, like 5-0, 6-1 or something like that. We come back and like bus is totally quiet. We pull into the rink. We're unloading the gear. He's like, no. Everyone put your workout gear on, get upstairs. And we did a 25-pound weight like circuit for an hour. And like one of them was like holding it out in front of you. He's just like going up to each guy. He's like, you tired? You tired? You play like dog shit tonight. You didn't finish your checks. You should be holding that weight from our 20. Like, and just like one thing after another, And it's like, and I was like, what are we doing this for? I didn't get it. And like, then when I look back, it was like, he was demanding that we would bring it and work. You're not going to have your best every night, but at least you're going to work. And that's what he wanted. You're going to work. If you're not going to work, you're off my team. he's like, you're not going to have your best every night, but I need to see the effort, you know? And that's really what we learned was how to bring it every single day, every single night.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think the thing that I take out of there, like that I hope anyway will resonate with like the kids listening and even the coaches that are listening. Like I'm a huge believer in like creating versatile players. Like as a coach at youth hockey, like you have to demand those things because at the end of the day, I think the biggest injustice you can do as a coach for your best players, particularly at the youngest levels or like, youth hockey, is not coach them hard and not expect them to back check and do all those things that you were talking about, because at some point you are not going to be the best on the team.
Totally.
At some point you are not going to be playing on the power play, and everybody except for Patrick Kane like he probably had to learn that lesson, whether it was from youth hockey to juniors or from juniors to college or from college to pro. Like at some point you're going to have to know how to play both sides of the puck. And I think like just teaching people, I kind of call it the B game, like teaching people the B game, like maybe the not as sexy, maybe doesn't show up on the scoreboard type stuff. Like that can make you a lot of money at the end of the day too. Like if you're at that echelon, like how many first round draft picks are like third line centers in the NHL right now?
No, exactly right. I mean, well, like this is the other thing is like you want to actually build a true team. I mean, look at guys that get the money they get. Like, I'm like, what? People are like, how does this guy get that? And I'm like, dude, because watch his game. He does all the little things so incredibly well. And that's the piece that they need to round out their team. They don't need another goal scorer. They don't need another, whatever. It's like you need, like, I'll give you an example. Like Brandon Hagel for the Tampa Bay Lightning is like, I'm so glad they paid the guy because he's this little water bug that like just plays with the biggest heart and does so many things so well. He's a versatile player. And he was like a grinder in the minors and then just found his little stride, found his little niche, and then just like worked his way all the way up. And now he's making 6 sheets a year for the Tampa Bay Lightning or something crazy, that's maybe a little overpaid, but that's a different conversation. It's right there. but like look, I was a guy that I was a complete player. And I think honestly, the reason why I got the nod for Hobey Baker over anything else or anyone else was because I'd win every draw. Like that was my first battle. That got me in the game. Like I'd win the draw, I could score goals. I could lead. I could do power play, penalty kill. I mean, I could do it all. I mean, shoot, I was calling the changes at one point, my senior year, I
think one of my favorite stories and watching all the game tape and doing all the research and talking to Hines and Eves and all these guys was this really stood out to me in B-side Topher was that one of the series they talk about in Blake's Hobey year was against New Hampshire, and Blake Kessel, Phil Kessel's brother, was in town and was their leading scorer, and Blake came away from the weekend without a single point, but so did Kessel, and that he bird dogged him all weekend, and he shut him down and won every face off, and was like radically unselfish, and I think that was a defining weekend that ended up being a huge part of Blake getting that award.
Plus, I'm sure the Madison people were pretty happy that a Kessel got shut out.
Yeah. No love lost between the Crease Creatures and the Kessel family. That's for sure.
Yeah, the story behind that is that Ear walks in and goes, "I want that Kessel kid feeling the boards all night." That's all I'm going to say. Okay. And I was like, "Is that permission to run him?" He's like, "No comment." All right, boys, let's hear it. So it's just like, all right, full range. Here we go.
Mom and dads, listen to this. Like, you guys, I hope you're taking away these messages that whatever role your son or daughter is playing on the team right now, instead of getting in their ear and being like, you should be on the power play, you're better than Johnny or Tina or whoever the hell it is, right? Get them to own their role right now. Because also, if you listen to Blake here talk, he had 2 goals his first year, but he owned his role. Then he went to 10, and then he went boom, boom, wins a Hobey Baker. You own your role, and then the coach gives you more rope. And I know we have so many parents that are listening to this, and this is something that you've got to be instilling in them. Not you deserve more. Give me. Don't give that. Don't instill that in them. Get them to understand that, like, show up, do what's asked of you, go above and beyond, and earn more role, earn more rope, earn a bigger role on the team, right?
Totally. And you develop all those skills all the way up. It's like, if you're a CFO of a company, you're not going to go right to the CFO. You're going to be an accountant. Then you're going to be an FP&A. Then you're going to be a controller. And then eventually you're going to get there. But you've owned all those roles and you dominate all those skill sets to now you're the girl or the guy in the role. It's like that's what sports is. That's what hockey is. And if you're a fourth line grinder or a third line player, it's like, okay, go shut the other team's top line down. Ask the coach, I want to shut this other team's line down. Or, hey, finish every check, have a good stick. Once you create those habits, you now know you can play that game. So the next team you make, or the 3 years down the road, you've played that role, you know what it takes. And now you have that flexibility and autonomy. It's I'll never forget, one of the funniest things we did at NTDP was all of our wingers that had been wingers their whole lives. Heinz was like, hey, I want all the wingers taking face-offs. They're like, I'll take face-offs. I'm a winger. He's like, yeah, but it's an advantage if you can go in and win a draw, because the probability is probably that much lower because you never practice them. So it's like, again, back then it was, God, how long ago was that? A long time ago. And so it's but back then it wasn't it was very rare that wingers would practice taking draws, right? If you think back, watching, the Red Wings and the Avalanche, dude, the wingers would walk in straight legs, straight up and down. They just lose the draw clean. It's like, okay, well, why don't we just give them the puck? Why don't we do it, right? And we used to watch clips like that with Heinz. Heinz's like, see this right here? This is a joke. What are we doing? He's like, what are these guys doing? We want to be winning those draws. Every winger I want taking draws, right? Awesome. I mean, he went kind of crazy over the top. He even had D-men taking draws. I'm like, I'm not having Eric Johnson take a draw. Right? So anyways, it's you got to have versatility in your game. Fact of the matter, you want to be a hockey player, not a power play guy, not a grinder, not you want to be a complete hockey player.
True that, man. That's great advice for everybody listening. I do have to ask you, because it was in the book. You guys have maybe some fisticuffs in between periods in the locker room that might have been initiated by a coach? I was reading that and I was like, that is amazing. That is unbelievable. So talk about Heinz and in between periods one time where he wasn't very happy with the toughness of the team.
Yeah. I mean, look, we got absolutely, I think it was during playoffs. I think is what it was. And we came out just so flat, intimidated, we were in a shell. And he walks in, he's like, all right. That's how you want to play? Don't want to be physical? We're going to do it now. And he points, I think he pointed to Ratter first. Mike Ratchuk. I'm almost positive it was Ratter first. He's like, Ratter, pick a guy, fight him right here. And he's like, wait, what? He's like, you don't want to go first? Fine. And he's like, Strady, pick a guy. And Strady looks at me and I'm like, oh, you don't want to get him. Let's get this. And we all start brawling. So he'd be like, all right, that's it. We're done. And he'd pick the next guy. And we'd all start brawling with skates on, no helmets, no gloves, just wrestling each other and fighting. And the punchline is we went out that next period. I think we scored 12 goals. Not 12, but we scored a boatload of goals and just got the boys all riled up and going. And then I'll never forget that we won that game the next morning. Scott Monahan, who runs the NTDP, comes in and he's like, boys, what happened last night is not okay. and Heinz comes in with his tail between his legs the next morning. And he's like, boys, my bad, won't happen again. He's like, we had this rule, if you touch the logo in the middle of the room, it was 100 push-ups. Okay. He's like, my bad. I know a lot of the guys touched the logo last night. So I'm going to take that for you guys. I'll do 100 push-ups. So he gets down and rips out 25. He's like, I'll finish the rest later. I'm like, what? Dude, till this day, he still has never finished. I think he's 62. Okay. And so we had a reunion. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago at NTDP. And I went right up to him. I was like, hey, Heinz, a couple of tough guy sodas in. I'm like, hey, Heinz, still owe me a couple of push-ups, pal. And he's like, I can't do 5. My bad shoulder. I go, I don't give a shit. So every time I see him, I saw him actually at when he was coaching for the Predators. I was down in the locker room area, and I saw him. He's like, hey, Blake, what's going on, man? How's your family? I'm like, great. I'm like, how are those arms and the shoulder doing? He goes, Good. Why? I'm like, hit the deck. He's like, sorry. I said, not a chance. I'm getting those push-ups. Yeah.
You heard it here. Coach Hines, you got some push-ups to do. I love it.
But honestly, I can't say enough good things about John Hines and Mike Hughes. You know, those guys, and especially Heinze, like just helping me develop as a young man off the ice and teaching me about life and competitiveness and you know, details of the game. I mean, look, I look back on how and why I made the NHL, and I'll tell you 100% it's because of Mike Hughes and John Hines. I mean, they taught me the real, true, tedious details of the game of hockey and how to really utilize your stick in a really big advantage way of teaching me stick on puck and put your stick here instead of there. And it's, you know, all those little tedious details that you see a lot of NHL guys even to this day make small, stupid mistakes. And, you know, it's funny. Heinze used to always say, and he's so right, and watch it because it happens all the time. After 35 seconds, your brain absolutely goes because your legs start to go and you get tired and you start losing all these little details. And if you watch all of the plays nowadays on the power play, watch all of those lanes are like driving semi trucks through on the power play because those guys they get tired. And because I always say, I'm like, how in the world are these guys just ripping backdoor passes? Like, it's not hard. Put your stick in the lane, you know? But if you watch them nowadays, all these guys, they shoot the pucks early on. They chase down the pucks, get them back, and then they wait for these guys to get tired, and then the lanes just start opening up. And it's amazing. And like, that's what I learned at the NTDP is like, have quick changes, work hard, and your stick is your best friend, and you can do so much with it.
It's unreal that you're talking about this because we have a lot of high level guys that come on, whether they're coaches or players, and like stick pressure comes up so much. And Vex will tell you, and he says it all the time on our podcast, like he owes Mike Hastings a shitload because Mike Hastings taught him stick pressure, and it helped him to become a versatile hockey player that ended up playing 10 years pro as probably more of a defensive guy, maybe until you went to Europe and then all of a sudden you're a stud again.
Not a big deal.
But like, man, like that, it's awesome to hear you say that. It's just it's like a little thing. It's a little thing, but like,
but the biggest thing.
It's the biggest thing. Like, if you think about it, it's such a huge part of the game. Like literally just having the ability to angle, having the ability to keep your stick on the ice, intercept passes, go stick on puck. Like, like again, we talk about it. These are the little things that make players and coaches like, man, like we have to be focusing on these kinds of things all the time. If we do want to, isn't it crazy, Vex? Like another great story about stick on puck, defensive stick positioning pressure.
It's literally like the simplest but hardest thing to get used to. But once you start doing it, you literally change the game. You create so much more offense from the defensive zone with a good stick. Like I was second in the nation in shorties one year in college. Literally stick pressure. Mike Hastings, only reason. Like so many times, just having it in the right, knowing, like you said, knowing where to have your stick, like thinking about that stuff before. Coaches listening, please pay attention to this stuff. It's massively important.
Yeah. And Blake, I want to go to Mike Eaves here too, because like in the book, it's really cool. And for me, coming from a perspective of having been a college coach, one of the coolest things as a college coach is having a kid come in as a freshman and then watching the kid leave 4 years later and just seeing the progression of that kid. Like I literally had kids that they come in as freshmen, they're shy, they're introverted, they can't look you in the eye, like when they say hello. And then by the time they leave, they're these confident, like, you know, just, and so your transformation, and particularly even with your relationship with Coach Eaves, you know, towards the end of your time there, like I remember reading in the book, the one time where you had lunch with him or breakfast with him or something like that, and you challenged him on something and he got really pissed off, but then he comes up to you the next day and he was like, well, you were right. Okay. Like we can do, and I forget what the premise was, but like talk a little bit about just like your almost like not hockey maturation, but like your maturation just as an individual and your confidence level, just kind of like as a person from your freshman year to your Hobey year, and how, you know, your relationship with Coach Eaves, even though it wasn't, and it shouldn't be, like you shouldn't have a great relationship all the time with your coach for 4 years because they're pushing you and you're pushing back and you don't like what they're doing. Like that's a part of the maturation process, but like just talk a little bit about that experience with him and how it helped to shape you as a person and make you a little bit more confident.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, look, I think, look, I was that exact, freshman year. I came in nervous, didn't know what to expect. I mean, look, again, I think what happened in college my freshman year to where I grew up, meaning, look, you get into college, you learn about alcohol and bars and girls and school and all of these things that you've never really experienced before. I mean, I was a hockey player, dude, and it's all I did 24/7, 365. Like, so again, you go from like an 18-year-old kid on a team with a bunch of older guys from junior and whatnot. Again, it was like another evolution of learning. So like I never really experienced any of this growing up. And especially under Heinz's watch. I mean, me and Keener one time got caught getting an ice cream cone at McDonald's, got bag skated the next day. That's a true story too. And he was that strict, like on our nutrition, which by the way, I followed up with, this is probably what did me in on that story quick was, well, if you knew we were at McDonald's, does that mean you were in the line too? And what were you getting? Right. So that probably didn't help my case because he's like, shut up, kid, get on the line. Right. But I learned all these things. And so, from the guy who really helped me, and it goes back to what I, talked about early on, which is like the camaraderie and the mentorship and the brotherhood that hockey has. The guy that I was really close to was Adam Burish. And he won a national championship there. It was a 4-year captain or a 2-year captain. Him and his sister grew up in Madison. They both won national championships on the women's team and the men's team the same year, both captains of the team. He had a really good relationship with Coach Eves. He had previously played for Marco Siki, who was one of our assistant coaches. So he knew those guys on an intimate basis. So I would always like call him and be like, hey, dude, like Ever did this, Ever did that. Like, how should I handle this? Like, this is literally insane what he's doing. And he'd be like, dude, you got to stand up to the guy. Like, reach down, grab your kahunas, march in that office and tell him how you feel. He's like, this is your team, not Ever's team. He's like, and that's the mantra that you have to have with Ever, or the team's going to slip away. He's like, you know your guys better than Ever. He's like, you have the pulse on the team. You know what the team needs. He's like, tell him how you feel. And the basis of this story was, Ever was a very, very intense guy and would get right in your face. I mean, if you turn the puck over, or made a mistake, I mean, he was a guy that was ultra competitor. He would, times have changed, right? But you would come back to the bench, he would grab you by the face mask or grab you by the jersey. And he would get in your face. And a lot of guys would shy away from that. And they would hold their sticks and they'd be terrified to make a mistake. And you could see it in their play, right? And so after a weekend, there was a couple of guys that like were having a tough time. And I was a junior at the time. And they were just having a tough time, like playing, like not themselves. You could see it. And so we did a Monday morning lunch every Monday to check in. How are the guys feeling? What'd you guys do this weekend? Do we need to back skate type of thing, right? Like, what did we do well? What did we do poorly? Any suggestions? The whole thing. So Ben Street, who was a captain with me before he got there for lunch, I was like, hey, I'm going to go to Eber and tell him like he needs to calm down. Like when guys make mistakes, let me and you handle it instead of him like yelling at guys, because guys literally just grab their sticks and play even worse. And like, then we can't get it takes a while for us to get the team back on the tracks. And he's like, Streeter's like, oh, totally agree, man. Yeah. I agree with you. I'm like, all right, great. Glad you got the support, dude. I'll never forget. I was shaking in my boots when he sat down. He's like, all right, so what do you guys got? And he's an intimidating man. I mean, he's in better shape now than all of us put together.
He could still pull those push-ups off.
Yeah. Ever can rip out 100 right now. And be like, is that it? And you might do more? How about 100 air squats? I'll bang those out too. I mean, he's a specimen. Okay, he rides a bike for an hour and a half every day at 5:30. Call my bluff, just call his cell phone, he'll pick up. So he goes, all right, so what do you guys got? And I'm like, well, Ever, I'm gonna jump right in, man. I was like, look, this is hard for me to say, but like, dude, you gotta like relax on the bench. Like, he like literally takes his tomato soup spoon and just drops it. He's like, what? I'm like, dude, man, like you yell at our guys, like when they come back to the bench and they make a mistake. Like, and these guys grip their sticks even tighter. Like some guys can handle it, but a lot of guys can't. I was like, you need to back off those guys. Let me and Streeter handle that communication with them and we'll get in their face. Like we'll take control of the team. He literally lost his marbles on me. Like, screaming at me, what do you know about coaching? I've been doing this, blah, 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 right? And just reams into me. The best part about the story though, is that he marched, Mr. Street, what do you think about this? And he's like, I disagree with you. And I'm like, no. Like, you just literally sewered me. Like, you just drove over me, just put it in reverse and went back over me again. And so, he either takes off, like just rips out of there. leaves me with the bill, which, by the way, I think my dad gave me like $8 every month on the credit card to spend for food back then. So I'm like, hey, Dad, can you throw a couple bucks on the credit card? I got to buy this lunch because Coach E just took off and I don't have the money. And he's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, why didn't you leave me with the bill? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, long story. So then the next morning, Ever calls me at like literally 6 a.m. So of course I'm like, hey, Coach, what's up? Like, I've been up for an hour, right? Like, not a chance. And he's like, hey, can you come over to the office? I'm like, yeah, sure. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, been up, studying. He's like, oh, great. I'm like snoozing, right? Like, so I rip over to the rink I walk into his office and he's like, hey, come on in. He's like, hey, so look, I want to first apologize for what I did yesterday. I thought about a lot what you said, and you're right. You're right. These guys do grip their sticks. And Eber was big on, he always bounced everything off his wife, Bethy. He's like, I was talking to Bethy, and she kind of agreed with you as well. She sees it when they play. And he's like, I want to take this on. So how should we go about this? And I was like, well, look, these 5 guys, like, they're mine. Like, let me handle them. I know how to handle their personalities. I know what they need. I was like, just leave them alone. I got them. He's like, all right, dude, 3 of those 5 guys that year, one scored 15, the other scored 10. They both averaged like 12 minutes a night. And it was literally because when they came back, I'd be like, hey, they'd be like, I know, my bad. I got us. No, my bad. And then like, they'd go out and block a big shot or make a big hit or make a very defensive play. And then come back, sorry, boys, I got us there though. And like, so we created this mantra and this culture of like, we'd pick each other up, or like if someone turned one over, the next guy, I'd be like, don't worry, I got you right here. And then we go out and like run somebody over. We just created this culture where like Eber didn't have to say anything really. Like I was running the bench, even to the point where I think this is in the book, Sam. Like, hey, I would drop the gloves with you in practice. I had 3 fights during my career, and it wasn't as a result of like I was trying to be a bully. It was a result of like I took on that. I demanded that you brought it every single day and every single night. And if you didn't, I was the first one in your face being like, hey, pick it up. And people didn't like that. And it usually turned sometimes ugly, right? I always felt terrible about it, but it was more, we had this culture at Wisconsin that like our mantra was, Wisco. That was our saying. And that meant, oh man, Wisco's coming to town. Do not want to play these guys. Like they're going to run us through the gates. They got an intimidating crowd. And like, they're going to tuck 4 or 5 on us. And like, this is going to suck. And like, that was like the mantra that we created. And like, dude, I used to do this thing. Like if we need to pick me up, it's kind of illegal now, but I would do a little button hook. I'd purposely lose the opening face-off, let him go D to D. I'd do a button hook, and I would just run the centerman because I go curl back to the far blue and then let him, looking back
a little bit
over. And 9 times out of 10, it'd be a great hit. Nowadays, it'd be charging, right? But like, it was just like that was how I'd pick us up and like be ready to rock and roll, like and set the tone,
You guys think Mike Ratchuk could talk? You should write a book about Blake Geoffrion. All right, I've been listening to the guy talk basically nonstop for about 5 years now. And now we're out on podcasts and I'm learning new stories. Yeah. All I did was call you at 8 in the morning every Wednesday for years.
That's right.
What's really cool though, Blake, is I am I love like learning about culture. And one of the biggest consistencies that I see of all the teams that I've either played for or coached or worked with is how important the player leadership was. And it's everything. It's literally everything. And what I talk to coaches about all the time is okay, players coaches, like they always talk about player leadership and how important it is. Okay. But like, what are you doing to facilitate that? Right? Like, are you having these weekly check-ins that aren't like weekly check-ins just to check off a box? Like, hey, I have a leadership group and I'm just going to ask them a question. And that's just a check-in. No, but like, are you actually going to listen to what they have to say? Are you actually going to like develop guys to become leaders and like from their freshman year on? Do you have like a program? If it's so goddamn important that we have player leadership, like we have to invest a lot of time and energy and maybe even money, like to really help develop those kinds of traits, because like, the best teams that I played for, the coaches didn't have to coach accountability a lot. It came from within.
No, totally.
Talk about the fights, but like other people have other ways to do it. Like my captain, when I was a freshman, like he just knew like if things weren't going well, he was going to be there to put an arm around you. And that was like his way of leading.
Was that Matt Molson?
Mols was different. Mols was like, he was pretty good at that, but Mols, like, he was completely by example, man. Like, Mols was a guy that, like, freaking, like, he was the hardest worker all the time. And, like, he always brought guys with. Like, I tell this story in all the team building stuff that I do. My first day on campus, Mols comes up to me. He's like, hey, meet me at the football field at 8:00 tomorrow morning. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, meet me at the football. So I met him at the football field at 8:00 the next morning, and he put me through this like bagger of a workout. And it was kind of like, welcome to, like, this is what it takes, man. Like, welcome to the team. And like, I prided myself on being a hard worker. I never worked that hard before. Like, and so that was like, he was just a really good guy to like, he wanted what was best for you. Like, most wanted his cookies too. I think all goal scorers want their cookies, but like, he was really good at just like leading by example, but like, he never did stuff alone. Whenever he was working on his skating or whenever he was working on his shot, whatever it was, like, he was always doing it with somebody. And I always respected the shit out of that with him. And I learned a lot from that too. And do you know Mols? Did you ever cross paths with him at all?
No, I might have met him a couple times in passing, but dude, I think I told Sam this story. I'll never forget, dude. The hardest hit I've ever been given in my entire life was by Byron Bitts at the far blue line. I did like I like literally toe dragged somebody, brought it back in, and then I tried to toe drag another guy. Like, what are you doing? I'm playing with the U18s at the time, or U17s, and he hit me so hard on the toe drag. I did a full helicopter into the air, like parallel to the ground, and then went like and came down like that, and like I like really went dragging off the ice. And Coach Hines comes up, he goes on my shoulder, he goes, probably wouldn't do that again. I'll never forget that. Like, and I was like, oh yeah, but that was it was the year that we played. Molson was a captain, I think, and like they had Byron Bitts and that Sasha Pokolak and
that was my freshman year.
Oh, were you on that team? Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna tell Sam. I know you got to go here in a second, but like, first thing is, thank you for putting that triple overtime game in the book and like haunt my memories again. I was playing in that game. I was a sophomore in that game, and like, I think whoever won that game was going to win the national championship. Honestly, I mean, that was, you talk about a 0 or a 1-0 triple overtime game. Like, it wasn't a boring 1-0 triple overtime game. Like, it was insane. But Sam, like, I know you got to go ahead.
Before Sam goes up, I want to say one thing, just to all the listeners out there, and ask you guys a question, but or kind of make a statement / question. But like, you know, when Sam wrote this book, the one thing that I wanted to say to him, and I was very adamant about, was that I didn't want this to just be another biography that was like over and over of, oh, Blake's the greatest player, said Topher Scott. Or, you know, like, we wanted to make it unique and cool and like authentic and the whole thing. So if anyone out there goes and buys the book and gives it a read, and Topher, I'd love for you to comment on this, but like, the writing is really well done. It's very like intuitive. It's very, it's fun to read. Like, it was my own story, and I'm not a reader. My motto is like, why read a book when there's a movie? And I read this book like within an hour and a half, like literally, and it was a page turn. It was my own story. And it's the way that Sam writes that I think is just so entertaining. There's a lot of fun facts. There's a lot of great stories. And I said to Sam, like, look, I don't want to see or hear one said this person or whatever. Like, you know, Sam talked to a lot of, you know, talked to Kaner for hours, talked to John Hines, talked to Mike Eves, talked to all these superstar guys. And like, their names aren't even mentioned because I didn't want that. It wasn't about me or about that. It was about the history of hockey, a cool story, mixed, intertwined with my family, how the game started, how it evolved to Tennessee and the expansion and whatnot. So it's not just another atypical biography for everyone out there. It's really a truly well-written, cool, unique style of writing that intertwines a lot of storylines and then kind of brings it all together at the end. And it talks about adversity and life lessons and in everything in between. So I don't know what you think, Topher, but that was kind of just my
I'll let Sam go I'll let Sam talk really quick. I just have one last question because I know he needs to go here. But like, you know, as you're writing this book, the book is published, it's out there for everybody to see. You know, what do you want the readers to get out of the book? I think Blake just did a really good job of probably putting that into words right there. But like, having been the person who has done the interviews and wrote the book, you know, what is it that you want readers to take out of Blake's story?
Yeah, I think for me, it's two things. One, if you think you have expectations placed on you, you need to put that in the perspective of others. And literally, I got the book I wrote about Blake. I'm pointing the wrong way. The book I wrote about Blake, and then there were books, the other about his grandfather and his great grandfather. Right, that's all on my shelves. Like, the guy played on the ice in Montreal under the numbers of his grandfather and his great grandfather, both of whom are in the Hockey Hall of Fame. One of whom invented the slap shot, and the other one, the NHL All-Star Game, was created as a benefit for his family after he died getting hurt on the ice. So whatever you're carrying, just know that someone else is truly carrying more, especially in that weight of expectations. So, I mean, that's it for me. And then the other one that I would say, and this has really come out after the book and in talking to buddies of mine who, were watching these games and excited about Wisconsin hockey and excited about Montreal hockey in these different phases of Blake's career, is that you don't realize it when you're in it, but we're all living history. And it's hard to tell in the moment. And then eventually you get to look back on it, and literally the pages of Blake's life are in a book, but they're also my life. I mean, I was at those games, and I had a relationship with Coach Eves and guys who are named in the book, and understood and got to feel and live campus culture, and as a fan observer, and then eventually as a researcher. And so it goes by so quickly in the moment, but you truly, we all get to live our own history. And I think that's a really incredible thing that having written this and having had the support of the entire Geoffrion family has been a really incredible part for me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, appreciate your writing the book. It was awesome. Like I said, same with you, Blake, one sitting and I got through it. And Sam, if you need to go.
Yeah, I'll hop. I'll let you guys keep talking. And thanks again for having me.
You bet, buddy. Thank you.
For being here, buddy.
And for me, like, when it comes to the book, man, like, it's just like, as I was kind of trying to like form my words about what I thought about it, like, at the end of the day, the one word that came up was real. It was just real. It was real. Like, you can really put yourself into these situations, and maybe, like, having played college hockey and having been in semi, kind of experiences like you've been in, you can feel it maybe a little bit more. But I think for anybody that reads the book, it's a real book. It's a real book with real awesome stories, funny stories, emotional stories, happy stories, sad stories, stories of shit that you've probably been through, that Blake went through at some point in his career, that can teach you a lesson or two. And I think the biggest thing for me, it was really real. It was really real. And I think that's probably the best compliment for me anyway, that I can give, is it makes you feel, it makes you think, it makes you laugh. and if you can do all three of those things while you're reading a book or watching a movie, in your case, that's a recipe for a good day,
No, totally.
I would recommend this book to anybody that's a hockey fan, that's anybody that's, and especially like you said, like, there's so much, like, your family history. We didn't even get into that, but like family history, and then you living up to that and playing it for the Canadians, like, man, that's like amazing. So I just appreciate it. And Butcher Grass writes the forward for it, which I think is pretty cool. We've had him on the podcast too. But at the end of the day, man, like, I guess my last question for you is, like, having gone back, it's always really cool. Like, and I even do this now with my own kids, and I don't know Blake, how old are your daughters?
7 and 4.
7 and 4. So we're kind of similar. We're 6, 4, and 2, but like, just kind of like reliving a little bit of the past and looking at old pictures and looking at old videos and like just remembering some of the cool memories, and then having it like documented in such a cool way in a book. What was that like for you when you read that book, just kind of going back and remembering some of those stories and things like that? That must've been unbelievable. Not even just for you, but for like your family.
Totally. I mean, look, the number one reason why I did this was so that I could remember some of this stuff. Cause, like, if I'm being honest, man, like, I read this and I was like, why did I never do that? And I would call buddies and like, hey, when did I do that? Is that actually real? Like, and the whole group was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, are you nuts? Like, yeah. And like, everyone, I'm like, wow, I totally forgot about that. And I was like, I really am crazy, aren't I? And so it's just really great to have all those stories in one place. And then, like, to reconnect with all my old teammates, coaches, buddies, friends, family, the whole thing was awesome. But, it's funny. Like I took my daughters this year to a Wisconsin hockey game, and it's funny, like what they come back saying. So they tell all their friends that I'm famous, and I'm like, no, Dad's not famous. They're like, yeah, Dad, you're kind of like Taylor Swift. I'm like, I'm not like Taylor Swift at all, but okay, right? And it's kind of funny, but to have all of that and to read it all, and like, look, man, I'm a guy that like I kind of live like forward. I don't ever really look back. I don't reflect, and it's not a good thing, frankly. And so for me I'll give you an example. Like I had a friend of mine, Chris Fragner, played in Michigan. My billet.
Yeah, I was in Michigan last year, and so I got to meet him.
Frank's
great guy.
He called me over the week. I was like, hey, can you come talk to my team? And can you bring your Hobey Baker? And I'm like, I'm like, yeah, sure. So like I hobble down to the basement, open up a closet, like it's buried in this thing. I like grab this thing, and I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. And like I look, I'm really proud of myself, and it's cool. And I'm not just it's just kind of who I am. I just kind of live forward. I don't really reflect. So to have a place to be able to have a good reflection and like sit back and like when I really look back, I'm like, man, like if I go tomorrow, man, I've lived a hell of a life. Like the things that I've gotten to like experience and do and all that, like this has been pretty awesome, and to, I got a lot of people to thank. I would not be where I am without a boatload of people. And it's just, it allowed, like I reached out to a lot of people like, hey, like I just wrote this book and like, I just never really said thank you. I just want to say thank you. And, just things like that. It was like really cool to kind of have. And like, at some point I'll throw it to my daughters and be like, hey, here's who Dad was, and this is who I was, a hockey player. And, so I'm really proud of it. And I really truly did love it. I love the book. I really did. So,
yeah. Awesome.
I was wondering, I got some texts here while we've been on the show, and I didn't know if these are, I don't know if these are in the book or not, but I was supposed to ask you if one time while you were playing at Wisco, if you were late for a midterm and why. Do you remember?
Late for a midterm and why?
Yeah. 7 a.m. moped in the tree.
Yes. One of a handful of my lovely teammates decided to put my scooter in a tree, literally, and I was late for an exam, and I was furious. Literally in this tree. I don't know how they got it up there. So that either had to be Mike Davies or Andy Bombeck that texted you that. So,
and then the other one, I hope he's not. He told me I should ask this one. The Hobey Baker. How did you find out you won the Hobey?
Well, that's kind of a little bit of a loaded question. So when I was 2 ways, actually 3. So I find out that the morning of that I won the Hobey Baker through my roommate, Mike Davies, because he's like, hey, dude, there's an article just published by Posick, who was our beat writer at the time, that you won the Hobey Baker. Look, it's right here in this website. And then we went to it, it was there. And then like we refreshed it, and it was not there anymore. And then, so like I'm all worked up, like, well, did I win it? Did I not? Blah, blah. And Mike's like, oh no, they probably wrote like 2 different versions, like one if you win, one if you don't. So then I'm walking down the path from like where you come out to the ceremony with Mike Eves. And he's like, hey, I don't want to like burst your bubble, but like you didn't win the Hobey Baker. He's like, they wrote 2 different versions of the story. So like, I don't think you won it. So I just wanted to give that heads up type thing. And then so that was the second one. So then I just get like crushed, right? And then the third one was when they actually announced it. Okay. And I'll tell you a little side funny story. So they announced that I win, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, between me and you, like I literally thought I couldn't believe it. I really didn't. I thought Gustav Nyquist for sure had it in the bag, like 100%, like 100%. And the funny story was I give my family a hug, and then I give Coach Eves a hug, and then I give Barry Alvarez a hug, who's the 80 at the time and the football coach. And when I give him a hug, he's like, "Congratulations, Jeff."
No,
like you didn't even know my name, right? I'm close, and like Coach didn't care about hockey, right? Like Barry Alvarez didn't give a shit about hockey, and like I know Coach really well. And so like I like bust his chops all the time. I was like, you didn't even know my name. He's like, no, like Blake Geoffrion, like Jeff, like your nickname. And I'm like, oh yeah, look at the old back pedal. Good recovery there, Coach. Good recovery. But so it's 3 different versions of like, dude, I went from like the emotions were like this, right?
That's
on the back of
wild.
it. So,
That's
yeah,
so
it's
We went
great.
through that a little bit last year with Fantilli because I was in Michigan and Adam won the award, and there were like some people that were like trying to like roast his character because he got a fighting major in one of our games, which wasn't even a fight. I don't even know why he got a fighting major, but they were like, the Hobey Baker should be, it's about character and it's about class and this and that. And like Adam's leading scorer in the country as an 18-year-old. And we're like, guys, like, come on. Like
No, that kid's a stud. That kid's a great player.
he is, and he's a great kid too. So,
Yeah,
well, hey man, we appreciate your time here tonight. If you got a couple more minutes, we'd love to do this quick little 10 questions with you.
Go ahead.
But awesome story for everybody that's listening. Go get it. It's called Legacy on Ice. Blake Geoffrion and the Fastest Game on Earth, and Sam Jefferies is the author that wrote the book. But it's awesome. It's a really, I don't want to say a quick read because I don't think that does it justice. It's an awesome read, and I did it in one sitting, and a lot of awesome stories, a lot of life lessons and things that you can use in your own life here too. So,
dang, killed that.
that was awesome. Yeah, appreciate that.
Cool. Yeah, no problem. Anytime, guys.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.